Hello everybody and welcome to a speedrun tutorial on Cuphead All Bosses. It's been a while since I've gotten to do a speedrun tutorial because honestly I just haven't speedrun any games in a while, but when Cuphead came out I instantly knew a boss rush game would be the perfect thing for me to speedrun. So once I completed the game, it took me 9 hours and 360 deaths on my first run. Thought I'd go ahead and speedrun it, and I waited until I got a time I was satisfied enough with that I wanted to do a speedrun tutorial. And this was actually my 7th speedrun of the game, so I didn't do that many speedruns of the game, and I certainly don't compete with any of the world record times, but that's fine. We're gonna do a nice little tutorial and just pull up with me, have some coffee, tea, whatever you want to do, and we'll do it the podcaster style where we just sit here and chill with each other. So, of course, you want to get your gun. You want to get your gun from old Grandpa Teapot over there, and then you got to go get this coins from this apple. And we're going to go ahead and we're going to go to Forest Follies because we need more coins to get the 2 weapons that we're going to use for this run. Now, I would highly recommend when you start speedrunning this game to use those 3 coins to get Invisible Dash. And then I would recommend doing Treetop Trouble as well, because having Invisible Dash can be a very clutch thing early on. This day of speedrunning was actually my first time trying it without Invisible Dash because not doing Treetop Trouble saves you quite a bit of time. But it's pretty hard to play the game without Invisible Dash if you're not used to it. And I played my initial playthrough with it, so it was very challenging for me to adjust to not having iframes on my dashes. Now, I wish I had a way to tell you to easily get through this level, but it takes repetition and practice. You just have to get used to where the enemies are spawning. I think this may actually be the first time I ever made it through this level without dying at least once, because when you're trying to do it fast and you're trying to dash and go for speed, you can really end up screwing yourself. Yeah, I got a gold split there, which for those who may not know what gold splits are, that means it's the fastest time I've ever completed that segment on my split. So that was the fastest time I ever completed the Forest Follies. So I was very happy with that, of course. Now that you've got the, I believe, 8 coins. Yes, 8 coins because you get the 3 from the apple and 5 from Forest Follies. You'll be able to go into the shop and buy the 2 weapons we're going to use for this run. And there's a very specific exploit we're going to use with those 2 weapons that I'll describe once we get into the fight. You want to go ahead and buy Roundabout and buy Lobber. You can actually use Roundabout and Spread, but it requires a lot more tapping, which I'll talk about here in a moment. But you want to go ahead and equip Lobber and Roundabout, and then we're going to go straight into eating your vegetables in Botanic Panic. Now, the glitch that you use, or the exploit, whatever you want to call it, you'll see that I'm shooting both the Lobber and the Roundabout. And if you look at the bottom left of your screen, you'll see that I'm switching very quickly between my weapons. You'll also see how fast Potato went down. You're going to see this onion get shredded too. Essentially what you do is switch between your weapons constantly while you're firing. I can tell you the setup that I used for it because it was the one that I found to be the easiest. I used the DualShock 4 controller, and I have jump mapped to X on my controller. I have shoot mapped to R1, so I just hold R1, and then I mapped the change weapon to square, which allows me to tap it very quickly and still have, with my thumb, and have the edge of my thumb still on X. So that's what I'm doing when you see me jump. I'm still tapping and I'm using the edge of my thumb or the center of my thumb to jump. Embarrassingly, I died to the carrot there because I went really full balls. Like, you do a ton of damage with this glitch. The problem with this combo comes in that when you have someone who's high up in the air, or their hitbox is, you have to jump because of Lobber. Otherwise, you'll only be hitting with Roundabout. And I kind of just YOLO'd and wasn't paying attention to my super, and I ended up tossing a bunch of Lobber, which, as you can see there, it doesn't do anything because it doesn't reach his hitbox. His hitbox is about as high as his nose, so you need to be able to get up to his nose to be able to knock him out. So it sucks that in a run that I say I'm happy with, that I died to the frickin' carrot. Because it's one of the easiest bosses in the game. Sure, it may be a little harder because of the jumping, and I will tell you this was at the end of maybe like 4 hours of speedrunning, so my hand was getting a little tired, because your hand will get tired from the tapping, no doubt about it. I think most of the top level speedrunners use a keyboard. I chose to use the controller because I just like playing with the controller. And I'm also playing with a burnt hand. I burnt my hand in a bar challenge. Suffice it to say, it was stupid. I'm not even going to tell the story. I won't worry about it. Moving on. You go to the frogs. you really don't want to get that attack. That attack sucks to get because you can actually skip the second phase, and I will skip the second phase, you'll see here. But if you get this right away and use your super and unload, you should be able to immediately push into second phase without ever having to have the other guy do the fireball with the fireflies or whatever. You just want the small one to do the fireballs. But as you see, he goes straight into the third phase here. Now, this is where you got to be careful because I get really ballsy here and try to go really hard with the damage. But as you're going to be able to see here, I decide to play it safe. I still do damage, but I focus more on making sure my dodges are on point. There I do YOLO a little bit because I'm like, I have 3 HP. I can really hit him. But I was like, fuck. I know I got really close. Like, you start to get a sense for how close you are on these bosses once you've done them a couple times. I knew I was close because watch this. Oh, maybe I'm thinking of a different run. He wasn't that close. Debated. I'm sorry, I lied. He was pretty close, but that's because I played it so safe and I got Tiger, which is easily the hardest to deal with, as you'll know if you've watched my top 5 hardest bosses video, which I of course recommend, and my 10 things video. But I recommend playing that part safe. If you go full balls on the damage, you really can get him down and kill him, but I recommend playing it safe. And when we talk about playing it safe, we're going to go do the Grave Robber split, which is going into Mausoleum 1. I personally have realized after speedrunning the game, the 7 times that I have, that this is a waste of time. It takes 1:30 to do the platforming segment in here itself, and you waste probably 20-ish seconds walking over here, so it's almost 2 minutes of time loss. So you would need to gain 2 minutes throughout the entire run from having the Kamehameha Super, which undoubtedly you don't. You do not save that much time. However, the reason I take it is a safety strat. So where I was talking about taking Invisible Dash, this is a safety strat that I had. There's certain bosses that I just want to be able to not have to worry about being able to perfectly hit. I just want to be able to jump up and use a super that I know is going to do a ton of damage. And that's definitely applies to a lot of the bosses where you need to jump and use Lobber. I want to be able to not have to worry about jumping as much and do that. So this is another safety strat you can certainly remove because honestly, the Lobber and Roundabout weapon swap combo does nearly as much damage in the amount of time that super does, as long as you can keep hitting your opponent. Maybe even more, to be honest. The DPS is absolutely insane, but if you don't know how the mausoleums work, it's just parrying. It's just double jumping on the enemies. It's not difficult whatsoever, but it just takes time, and in a speedrun, of course, you don't want to take time if you don't have to. So go ahead afterwards. Don't mash the start button like I did. I always think it's start to equip the thing, and then I forget that it's totally not, and you have to wait for her to talk to you anyway. But after you do that, go and get your Kamehameha Super on, and then we are going to walk over and get some blue balls. And this is where, you've probably already been able to tell, but this boss should be where you're able to really get an appreciation for the weapon swap glitch, because you melt this guy. You melt this guy so fast. And I think I even have like a mediocre fight against him here. So you really just want to let him jump over your head. Avoid dashing if you can. It's better to not take damage, of course, but you have 3 HP and this is such an easy fight. Once you get to the second phase, unload and then bust out your super, you can actually take him straight to the third phase, but I missed a little bit of the damage there. However, I kept some of my super there, so when this phase comes, don't use the Lobber super on things that are too high up. Yeah, see, this was actually a slow fight, but even then, you knock him out so fast. It's insane. Yeah, I guess I lost 7 seconds there, so it wasn't the fastest fight, but that's okay. As long as I'm living, I'm happy at this point, because I think in the splits that I have on the board, the 104, I believe I died 20 to 30 times. So each death costs you roughly a minute. It depends on the boss and it depends on how fast you die, but they can take quite a bit of your time. So this is a huge time save I have coming up on Hilda Berg, or Blood Moon as I call her. I didn't get a chance to talk about it in my other 2 videos because I wasn't going to make like a best bosses video or anything like that, and I certainly wasn't going to make an easiest. Make sure you exit to map there. It's the fastest way of getting out of that and still gives you the blueprint. I love this boss. This is my favorite boss in the game. And the reason I do is for the many different phases. They all feel fair and well balanced. They're very interesting. You may not even get the same one. I feel like it gives ample opportunities to parry. And the visual design throughout the whole thing, the music is perfect. And in the final part, when it turns into the Blood Moon, the sinister look, the way it shakes and moves in motion, it's all gorgeous. I love it. I love it so much. So typically you want to bust out your 5-card super as soon as you can. I don't know why I waited so long there. I'm really not sure, but I did. It's pretty straightforward avoiding that first phase. Just, be careful. The guy will zoom forward. Make sure you get out of her way when she does that. The tornadoes, I always dodge them by baiting them and then moving forward on the map. Gemini is the two I prefer to get. Is it Capricorn, I think, is the guy who shoots the arrows. I don't know if that's actually the name of the constellation. But I prefer to get them because they're very easy to end. Go ahead, once you're here, be ballsy with that parry, and then I should be going in here with my super. This is why anytime you have your 5-card super, you want to just bust it out. There's no reason to be waiting for it. I don't know that I actually hit her there, which could have caused me to waste some time. If they're in the radius, typically you'll hit them, but I didn't see her glow there. Yeah, this phase when she goes, meh, like it hits all the right chords with me. The visual design is astounding. It's perfect. Try to parry here if you can. I save up for this, but toward the end of fights, if you're kind of low on super and not near the 5, you want to just use the 1-card super as much as you can. I didn't even get a chance there because after the second 5-card super, she was very close to being dead. I almost lost it there. I almost choked at the end, but fortunately I didn't. And as you can see on my splits here, because I've only died once to the freaking vegetables, I'm almost 10 minutes ahead. So after a day of very hard speedrunning, this was the day after I burned my hand, so the burn is in the center of my palm, so I can't hold the controller properly. Like, I can't hold my hand around the left side, so my hand's kind of hanging off to the left. Fortunately, Cuphead doesn't require much from you with the left, other than your movement, but the thumbstick wasn't the worst to control, and hey, if I can get a PB while my hand's fucked up, then so be it. This guy, I believe you actually do more damage if you jump up repeatedly, but I said to myself, my hand hurts and I'll deal with the lower damage. But I do believe lobber hits more often because, as you can see, I think every other lobber shot is missing depending on where he's dancing at the time. Here, though, it looks like you can straight up just beam into him, which is nice. Though this phase always kind of, attack always kind of scares me because those little things can get you pretty easily if you're not paying attention. So just make sure you're paying attention. It gets really easy because of the damage that this weapon does to go absolutely full balls and just go completely heavy with the damage. But it's always better, like in any speedrun, it is always better to take a couple extra seconds to live than it is to die and do it all over again. I have to remind myself of that sometimes. It's a pain in the butt because I love being so ballsy, but you really do have to take a deep breath and remember that full balls isn't always the best. Go 80% balls, that's what we say. So now we beat all the bosses in the first world, which is very, very nice. It's pretty quick too. 12 minutes as I'm going in the die house. I think that's a decent time. There are certainly more optimizations you can make. You can hit more of your shots. You can take more chances. You can be better at the fights in general. But that's a pretty good showing. And I think that anyone who can play this game is absolutely capable of speedrunning it. If I can go from playing the game with 360 deaths to being able to speedrun it in less than 45 minutes in just 7 attempts, then I fully believe any of you guys can do it as well. Now, there is a trick on this clown. If you notice, when I move, I tried to get a card and a half of super. If you get a card and a half of super and then unloading him in the right way, you can actually glitch him out. But I typically do my speedruns on YouTube, and especially the tutorial runs, without worrying about too many glitches and without worrying about a lot of precision. And if you notice, this guy is not very hard with the double damage super. You just do stupid damage to this guy. So I wouldn't really worry about the glitch. If you want to, there is a Cuphead speedrunning Discord that you can find on speedrun.com. And if you want to get all the glitches and exploits, they have tutorials there. And I certainly recommend it because they're a nice community, guys. I haven't talked to them much there, but I've gone and gotten a lot of tips from there for speedrunning. So it's a good place to be. I go ahead and just, there's really nothing to say about this guy. It's just go ham and unload. I didn't even bother using my super here, which I usually would. And that's kind of why I say it's a waste of time to get the super, because it maybe saves me like a second there, maybe. I don't even know that it does, so I really wouldn't recommend getting the super once you feel comfortable with the run. I still get it because there's a couple fights later where it matters. That guy, his hitbox is very easy to hit with the Lobber combo, so I don't think it's really as much of a concern. Now we're going to go do one of the levels that I find to be pretty damn difficult, and that's the Genie. The Genie was very close to making it on my top 5 hardest bosses. He's probably number 7 behind the frogs. But before you do the Genie, make sure you go get the bombs, because we're going to do the weapon swap glitch with the bombs and gun as well. It does the maximum damage when you are weapon swapping. However, you just have to be careful of when you do it, because to maximize it, you really have to be in a certain spot since the bombs are lobbed, just kind of like lobber. I get the worst possible of the 3. You really don't want to get this attack because it's the most difficult to dodge, and it gives you the least opportunity to get in his face and do damage, which means you might get a little bit extra. Fortunately, I did enough damage so he didn't keep the chest out there. Now, I watched someone else's speedrun, and they said something about, I think they were just saying a comment in passing, but they said hitting all these things for maximum damage. I think they meant getting maximum cards on their super. But ever since I heard it, I just started hitting all these things. I don't know if you actually need to do it. Maybe somebody in the comments can confirm, but I don't know. I do it maybe for the challenge, whatever. It's a speedrun. Why not make it harder on ourselves? Anyway, even though I have the full super here, this guy is very easy to kill by staying at the top of the map and just unloading with the bombs. So that's what I recommend. Unfortunately, I take damage there. The Saturn things are really the only thing that's difficult to dodge. But as you can see, it took very minimal damage to get him to leave. And the reason you want the 5-card super is you want to immediately use it on this. I would say the toughest part of this fight is probably the part coming up that I call the Pinocchio phase. You can almost end it right away by using that 5-card super. You'll see after he shoots these. I'm going to try to get in there and parry that to get more super back. And then do my best to stay out of the way, and I fortunately pull it off, and then getting up in his face after one round of attacks, you can essentially end him. And by the time you get to him, you've got another full 5-card super ready to go. So what I do is I unload until he starts attacking, then I go in with the super, which fortunately just barely hits him there. And then after that, he's essentially dead. So as you'll notice, a lot of these fights are balancing when you use your super, and there may be more optimal times to use them. You may find when you do the fights that you have different parts that you like using the super more. Maybe there's a different part you struggle with more and want to just make sure this phase is ended, this phase is out of there. So feel free to test and experiment yourself, because you won't instantly get a crazy good run. You'll probably get a decent run. My first run after the 9-hour 360 death was 2 hours and 20 minutes, and I think I died 61 times. Or something like that. So you can improve pretty quick. It's like any other game with bosses or any other game in general. Once you've played it once, you get a lot better. You get a lot better. It was a little bit slow on the waffle. These things can be killed very, very quick. Just to reiterate how much damage we have. These things can be killed so fast by this weapon glitch. It's insane. Because these things are like mini bosses. They're not even really bosses. They're just 3 different things that she throws. That's the way this fight works. She throws out 3 different pieces of candy, and or I guess waffles isn't candy, it basically is. And you gotta defeat them, and then you get to fight her. And this is yet another boss where I like having the super because I hate the jumping. So I instantly go ahead and use my super on her there. And then, as you can see, you're gonna have to use the platform, jump, or you can jump an angle in front of her, which I'm not great at, which is why I use the platform. And you also have to dodge her rolling head and that thing, which is parryable, but it's just a lot going on, which is why I like having the super for safety. Once you've practiced it, maybe you can do it a lot easier. Fortunately, this game gives you the ability to go in and practice bosses as you please, because you can go replay bosses as many times as you want to, so you don't have to worry about practice saves or anything like that, which is very nice. Anywho, now we're going to go on to a boss that gave me incredible amounts of trouble in my first playthrough. I think I fought this boss for like an hour before I defeated it. It was absurd. But I died to it once on the splits that we're looking at now, so I can save, even though we're 10 minutes ahead already, I can save a significant amount of time if I kill this boss in one go. I believe like 1 minute 30 seconds. Because I remember when I died toward the end. I had almost beaten him. So even though you could do more damage using the weapon swap combo, I stay in the back here because I don't want to get an egg in my face. And I know that I need the health for the 3rd and 4th phases, so I just don't risk it. Again, comes with practice. Maybe later on you'll feel that you can go in. Maybe now. Maybe you're great at the turkey and you feel like you can go in. As soon as he goes 2nd phase, I go ahead and use the 5-card super. And then I just stay toward the back and dodge as best I can. I'm, again, not trying to be too risky here because these two phases are not very hard if you play it safe and stay in the back. Maybe you lose a little bit of optimal damage, but I'd rather that than take damage for these two phases because this dude reminds me weirdly of the Brain from Pinky and the Brain. And this guy requires very precise movement, and both the third and second phase take advantage of one big weakness in the plane phases, which is you cannot turn your plane around. So you may find yourself here, like I have to kind of get to the back over there to be safe. And then you have to wheedle your way in between the eggs while doing that. It's such a fine movement phase, and then you got to be pairing the guns too because you really want them for the super. He should be almost dead here. I'm sure that's what I'm thinking. Like, why are you not dead yet? Why are you not dead yet? Because the 5-card super does a lot of damage to him. Takes at least half his health, I'd imagine. So you're really thinking he's going to be dead, and he's not. But I can't complain because I end up getting another 5-card super, which means I can instantly use that 5-card super. So pairing is very, very valuable. As you'll see, I go immediately into it because he can spit out his heart, which his heart becomes his hitbox then. And if you hit him personally when the heart is up, you miss your 5-card super, and it's just horrible. The safest spot is here where I am right now. I try to stay on the left as much as possible, and that super card is great because it plows through his entire body, which is very, very good damage. But sometimes the game will do the same thing I just complained about before, where it pushes you into the right side. Try to stay on the left as much as you can, but obviously play it safe. Happily. I'm happy I managed to do that without a death. I got a gold split on it. That was actually a very good fight for me. And I managed to save over 2 minutes. So now we're going to move over to a very difficult boss for me. Puff the Magic Dragon. I am not good at fighting this fucking dragon. There is a glitch just like the clown. There is a glitch where you can actually do so much damage in his first phase that he breaks in his second phase and never goes third phase. But it's a very fine amount of damage to pull off, and it's consistent-ish, but it requires him to give you certain attacks. So we're not going to worry about that, because I don't pull it off anyway, so it's irrelevant. I try to pull it off, but I don't. You know, I complained that the clouds don't seem very prevalent against the background. Maybe it's just the brightness on my other screen. On this screen, at least, they look very well stood out. Maybe it's just my eyes. This game plays tricks on your eyes, man. Because there I go. And I'm already 1 HP, and I'm saying to myself here, should I just go ahead and reset? Because that's totally an option. If you're in the speedrun, it's not against the rules to retry. The reason I use the super there is because his hitbox actually is on the edge of that screen, and you can still hit him. But it doesn't matter, because I completely fuck up there. So, at this point, I'm like, man, I've been speedrunning all day, and I had a good run going. Let me not do this again. Let me not die to him a bunch of times. Because this guy is so much my run killer. He really just is. I should have dashed there. I did not. I choked. And then immediately, I'm already 1 HP again, and I'm not even out of the first phase. And I'm like, fuck! But I'm like, whatever. I'm super far ahead. I'm gonna try this. And then I die again. So I shouldn't have. Often, if you take damage like that so quickly in the first phase, I do recommend just going ahead and retrying, because you may save more time than you do, you know, blowing your spokes out on a long run where you end up dying, because the third phase is easily the hardest part for me here. So going into the third phase with 1 HP is a horrible idea. A horrible, horrible idea. And yet that's what I was thinking there, because I was just like, fuck it, I ain't no bitch, I can do it. It's the same way I burnt my hand. I said, I ain't no bitch, I can put my hand over fire. I'm slowly but surely getting that story out. Anywho, here, be very careful to notice where those guys are facing, getting ready to jump. But as you'll notice, I did almost his entire second phase of damage. If I had pulled off a little bit more damage, I would have gotten the glitch. Here, I switched solely to Lobber. Now, you may find different strategies, but I find that when I do the weapon swap glitch here, I end up using way, way, way too much damage to the point where I'm getting fireballs flying everywhere at me, and it just gets me killed. Sure, it does a lot of damage, but it gets me killed. So I just use Lobber, and I try to use the 1-card Lobber super as much as I possibly can. And it's just a matter of dodging. This part is very difficult to me. I do actually believe that if you see behind his head that the clouds behind his second neck there, I think you can actually hide behind his second head as another glitch. I saw that in another speedrun after I'd finished speedrunning this game, which was a couple days ago, as I'm recording this. But, I don't know, that's up to you. I like getting good. I like getting good. And I even though I didn't kill him until my third try there, as you can see in my splits, I had died to him as well, I think in the third phase once. So those 2 early deaths didn't harm me incredibly, but they were still disappointing. But who cares? Second world down. We're getting ready to go on. And as you might notice, this is a tutorial commentary, and I'm giving you kind of tips and tricks that I know for each boss, but there's really not a lot to be said because this game is very much the kind of speedrun I like. There's not a lot of glitches, there's not a lot of exploits, it should really just beat the game fast. The biggest exploit by far in this run is the weapon swap glitch, and if you don't like that glitch, you're welcome to use the charge shot. The charge shot is unquestionably the best to just singularly use, and you can do a run just using the charge shot. It'll just be slower, but it can be done. Anywho, with this guy, you want to just do as much damage as you can. As long as you're hitting him with the weapon swap, he should die very, very quickly. I tried to get up there and parry that and completely failed. The key for the second phase B, which I just jump into her head there, unfortunately. The key for the second phase B, you want to do as much damage as you possibly can because you do not want to fight that third phase. The third phase is a pain in the ass. It is a very hard phase to deal with, especially with the fists. Like, her kind of crane punch attack is not very difficult, but her freaking punching attack, just boxing gloves everywhere. It's very annoying to dodge. And I guess I died to the bee lady twice. Like I said, this was a couple of days ago, so I didn't remember. I knew there were a couple of time losses in this run that could have made it better. I believe I die 6 times across this entire run, so I think we've seen the majority of them already. Spoiler alert. I think we've already seen the majority of my deaths. Because I went back and checked after the run to see how many times I died, to see where my improvements could be. And I think if I did grind this game, I could probably get it down to the low 30s. But I just never do that. I don't want to play the same game for a really long time on my Twitch. I like getting to have lots of different experiences with my stream. I love speedrunning, though, so I hope to find more games that I want to speedrun, because it's been a while. Unfortunately, there is another game I speedrun and already have a PB ready to upload to YouTube, and that should not be more than a couple of days before I have that out, and I think you guys will certainly be excited for that one. Trust me. Anywho, as I said, you just do as much damage as possible. Once you have that 5-card super, go ahead and blow it. I fortunately managed to pull off the dodge there. She is going to be ready to go to her third phase. In her third phase, she pulls this book out, and you just have a lot of time to end her. Because I already had the 5-card super, you can see, it's just totally done. The way the bosses work is, as long as they're doing an attack in a phase, they won't leave, and you can bleed damage into their next phase. That's how I skipped the frogs phase, that's how those glitches I was talking about work, and that's how you're able to kill her before she even turns into a plane. So that was a very optimal fight there at the end. But before that, obviously I died twice, so fuck you, Rumor Honeybottoms. What a weird name. So now we're going up to another boss that I find to be very difficult. I will say that even though I find Dr. Robichnik to be a very difficult boss, I've gotten quite a bit better at it. It's just very hard. So what you want to do in the beginning, immediately weapon swap glitch and go right up for the top. If you go up for the top, you can kill it instantly. Now move to the center of the screen. Make sure you don't move straight down because the spaceships will hit you. Kill the spaceships, parry that guy. Then you're going to go down and go for the stomach. By the time that guy's coming out, you're ready to parry him. The stomach should be dead. Now you're going to keep dodging the screws and start shooting the chest and just continue to parry. By this time, you should be well into your 5-card super. Use it on the heart, and the heart dies, and easy peasy. I know that was all very fast, but rewind it, listen to what I said again, and just kind of watch how I navigate that, and it's very clockwork. It's consistent every time. It works very easily. This phase is something that I can improve on. You really want to be hitting this guy with as many rockets as you can. I spend a lot of times worrying about the bombs and worrying about how I'm going to dodge them. As you see there, I try to go in for damage after shooting the bomb and forget it has an after effect, you dummy. But eventually, through trials and tribulations of doing this, you will get through and eventually kill this motherfucker. I think you have to hit him something like 8 or 9 times with the rockets. Here, I'd love to unload with a weapon swap, but unfortunately I had those bombs chasing me. Now, what I do here is I will dodge these and continue to shoot him simply with this until I get my 5-card super, and then I will use the 5-card super on him. After the 5-card super, if he still has health left, which he probably will because he has so much health, you can use your single-card supers, or you can do this as you please. I'm kind of butthurt seeing that in hindsight where I took damage there because the foreground was completely blocking where I took damage from. And that's something that's very difficult in this fight, is not only do you have a lot to dodge, but the foreground can completely screw you. Not only in those terms, but there's so much going on the screen and your eyes trying to track it all. You're trying to track where you are, where the boss is, where the bullets are going, and then a foreground piece comes and like pulls your vision away. It makes the game harder. I think that's what it's intended for, but it pisses me off. I don't like it. It makes the game harder. It's bullshit. I mean, it's really not that big of a deal, but it certainly does make it harder. Anyway, fortunately, I beat Dr. Robotnik on my first try. I had a very good run of these bosses, these couple bosses that I struggled with in my previous run, which is why I lost time on Queen Bee. Theater Throwdown is not a hard fight. This is probably one of the easier fights in the game, and I completely choked it in the PB that you're looking at on the screen. So I knew I had a lot of time to save here and was very scared, like, please, please, please don't fuck this up. Like, I know I have a good time save here. Do not fuck this up. The first phase, you really just want to focus on moving out of her way. It's kind of like the blue blob guy. Just stand there, post as much damage as you can into her, and then hit her. She always spawns on this right side here, which is why you can see where I am shooting. Just, again, unload on her. This phase is very much the same as she adds 2 attacks with the baby throwing bottles and this little rat attack you're looking at. But as you can see, it's not a long phase. I try to kite the rats that way because I just stand under here and shoot. I believe she gives me the wave attack here. What you have to do for the wave is you have to pull the meteor up with the star that's inside of it and parry and then dash over to dodge the wave. But I knew how much damage I had on her and I was like, okay, I'm just going for it. That so scared the shit out of me because I did not see that rose. And not only did the rose hit me, which took me to 1 HP, but the rose knocked me enough that my super wasn't able to be on the top, which will straight up just kill her. So, but as you can see, you don't need the super, like I said. It takes a little bit of damage to her at the end there, and you're good. I'm just not great at the mashing and jumping because of how I do it with square and X, so I try to avoid it where I can. But I bet if I went and did this run again without the super, I could probably save just 2 minutes on that alone. And if I could do this deathless, like I said, I really could get the time down, but I ain't gonna be a grinder. I'm happy with what I got done. So happy that I forgot the direction I'm going because we're going down to Tom and Jerry. I love this Tom and Jerry throwback. There's so many throwbacks in this game, but this is one of my favorites. This is also a very, very easy boss because he's very stationary for the most part. As you see, he moves a little bit, but it's not much. The cherry bomb attack kind of sucks because you have to focus a lot of your time on dodging that attack. This attack's a lot better. You get a lot more time to stand in front of him and shoot. And if you want to, you can parry those and get more super card. But as you'll see, you get plenty anyway. At this point, he should be ready to go. Second phase, he's just getting ready to move into the center. But I may actually even skip this phase. Yep. Or no, I didn't. I'm very close. Now he's third phase. So make sure you keep pouring damage into him there. That's one key. In a lot of boss fights, you may notice that when they're changing phases, you can still do damage. Make sure you're always doing that. I always wait for the cat here to change or do an attack, and then I jump up into the super from the opposite direction. He can either spawn the ghost on his side, or he can do the pause. I love it when he does the pause, because then you can just jump to the side, use the super, and then he's basically dead. Very easy boss in the run, which was good, because we needed the break after Queen Bee and Dr. Robotnik. But now we got You Are a Pirate, and Ariel and her band of eels, which both made appearances on a certain list because they're very hard, not only in the speedrun, but in the regular game. So what I do is I switch to pea shooter here. I used to use lobber and I used to jump a lot, but if you just angle upward with pea shooter, you can hit. With lobber, if you angle upward, you can't. You have to jump. So I find that the damage you lose from lobber between pea shooter is better. As you can see, all I do is run diagonally into him. When he jerks his chicken, I move back. There, I completely fuck up and forget about the barrel while trying to dodge those things, which is what I said is hard for me about this fight. You really have to multitask. The barrel, while it's gazing its eyes around, is friendly to you, but it's only for about 3 seconds, so you really do have to be careful about where the barrel is. And you will always want to hope that you're going to get, when he calls for help, the squid or even better, the shark. The shark is amazing because you can actually hit the shark, and I believe it does damage to him. It seems like it does anyway. I may not. Again, only done 7 runs, not super informed, but it seems like the shark does do damage to him. So I always try to nail into the shark when I can. But This strategy seems to be pretty consistent for him. As you can see, he's already going to his final phase. Now, what I do is, as soon as that thing spits, if you jump, you'll just straight up dodge, as you can see right there. Then after 3, you get ready to duck. You won't be doing damage until he opens, but already knocked out. Don't even need the 5-card super. So as long as you can execute and jump over those 3 fireballs, hopefully the barrel's in the back. It just depends on your luck. You should be able to end him pretty quickly. I was stoked about that. That's easily the fastest I ever did the pirate. I don't know that I ever even did a no-death pirate in a speedrun. So I was very stoked about that. And then I had a lot of time to save on Ariel and her band of eels as well. So hopefully I go into it and beat it without dying. We'll have to see if I do. Because it's a hard fight. It's a very hard fight. It was funny, you'll notice that a lot of the fights I struggle with are the plane fights, and I think that's because the plane fights have the most to avoid. They have the most going on. There's very few bosses that really are so aggressive that it makes the platforming difficult. The dragon is a good example. That's one that has so much going on that it makes the platforming difficult. This is a pretty good attack to get. As much as you can, you want to get in her face and use the weapon swap glitch. And as soon as you get your 5 cards, you want to unload them on her. This attack is the ghosts. I have a lot of trouble dodging this attack. The way I handle it is just stay still until the ghosts are getting ready to move, and then just move down or up, depending on where you are. Go ahead and use the 5-card super. At that point, she should be very close to going second phase, as you see she does. Usually I'll have about 2 cards-ish when she's getting there. Now the key is you want to stay right up in her face, because as you notice, you can actually manage to dodge that thing. And I was like, oh crap, okay, this is a good run. She's 3 HP. I managed to get her to go second phase or third phase very fast there. So I knew we were in business. And then I had a 5-card super. I was like, okay, that was a very good Ariel and her band of eels. And now more than 20 minutes ahead, I'm like, okay, holy shit, ladies and gentlemen, we have a run. We most certainly have a run. All I have left is the Fright Train, the Devil, and Dice. And LOL really split is normally my joke split. If you see my speedruns, it's my joke split for a boss that you just completely trivialize. And there are some bosses that you do trivialize in this run. But because this game is as difficult as it is, I thought it would be more fun to make LOL really like, LOL really? You're going to make me fight 3 bosses before I fight you? So it's kind of my logic with the naming, if you were curious. So let's go face the Fright Train, the last thing before we go into Inkwell Hell. For the Fright Train, it is necessary to jump here for Lobber. As you can see, I try to just shoot forward because my jump hand is tired, but I'm like, fuck it. You gotta jump. I try to parry there and unfortunately take a hit. And I believe, if I'm remembering correctly, that I play this pretty poorly and end up dying. But just be careful of those bricks. They can be scary. They can move you in a position you don't want to be. I get hit there because I wasn't paying attention to the brick. So you really do need to keep an eye on the brick. You can shoot the pumpkins to get him out of your way. But this guy, you don't even need to jump. You can just aim straight up as long as you're under him and hit him, and he's very easy to take out. For this next one, you do have to jump to be able to hit with Lobber. Just jump, and you should be able to melt the first guy. Just melt him. I always start with the left one, and then I blast with my super on the second one. Very close to getting hit there. But then if you're quick enough, you can actually move over under him and just melt him. He should have very little HP left, but I was kind of scared there because I only had 1 HP, so I didn't want to be risky, and ended up wasting more time than I should have. So you managed to melt him. And then this final phase I'm not great at. I play very, very safe. The final phase essentially throws these little bone boomerangs at you that will cross at you depending on where they see you. If you see what I mean here, it's because I stayed at the bottom, it crossed the bottom. If I jumped in the air, it would have jumped in the air with me. I think I actually could have pulled that off. I'm not that bad at it. Like, it's not amazing, but I'm not super bad at it. The only reason it's difficult is because you have to jump for Lobber. But I stupidly walked right into the heart there. So I was bummed because I was on really good pace, and I was like, the Fright Train's one of the easier World 3 bosses. I would say probably behind the Rat in the theater. So I was like, fuck, did I really lose to the Fright Train? So I was kind of choking here. As you can see, I tried to parry and instead just ended up walking off because I fucked up the skeleton last time and I was like, I don't want to fuck up here. So what I do is I say, fuck it. I'm not even moving. I'm not even moving an inch. You can't make me. And I just stand there. And then the motherfucker comes and moves it as I'm trying to hit this guy. So I end up wasting a lot of time. You can easily kill him in 2 rounds. And I end up doing 4 or 5. Did a lot of rounds there. But whatever. Whatever. We made it through it. We still have 2 HP. This part's not that bad. Doesn't matter if that guy hits you, Get up there, melt this dude. I'm pretty sure because he moved me, though, it ends up being really close. Yeah, really close. And then for some reason, I pushed this over. I guess I wanted to go over and do damage to him before to try to save some of that time back because I knew he wasn't going to do the electric attack right away. Luckily, managed to not take damage. That seemed very close that I didn't take damage there, I'm going to be honest. And go ahead and melt him. And now you actually get to see a successful kill of the Fright Train. You go through and obviously open up the heart. Try to be wary of where the boomerangs are. And then just do as much damage as you can. You have to be very good at the lobber jumping here. I just kind of do what I can. He doesn't have that much health in this phase, so I would much rather not go crazy ass full balls and get killed like that. I tried to really get in there, and I'm like, fuck it. I'm just going to play it a little bit safer. Some of it will hit him, and as you can see, I didn't hit that many of my shots. I hit maybe like 40% of my shots there. 2 phases was enough to kill him. So no reason to play crazy risky. It's not a speedrun after all. We're just playing casually, right? Right? No, we're playing for the speed. And now all we have left are the 3 bosses to get to Snake Eyes. Gotta kill Snake Eyes. Gotta dance with the devil. So we're gonna go down and do that. And it's pretty self-explanatory what we're gonna have to do. But there is a little bit of strategy to it. I choose a certain route for King Dice. There are many different routes. There are some glitches that allow you to skip certain things with King Dice. The fights, at least. You always have to fight 3 bosses, but there's a glitch that causes the monkey in the crane game to glitch off the screen and insta-kill himself. The route I go for is 2-4-8. That was the original route in the All Bosses run, and I just kind of stuck with it. I get lucky that 2 of the hearts are on 2 and 8 here. So, going to the chip guy. I fuck up, I believe, here. You want to be pretty close to him. As you can see, not all my lobber shots are... I don't think any of my lobber shots are hitting him. So you don't have to jump. Just make sure you're very close to him. So as you can see here, some of my lobber shots are hitting him. It's when he's in the air and jumps up, they won't hit. But as long as he's compacted, they'll hit. So you should be able to end this, I believe, in 2 phases of him going around. But I did a really piss poor job. So I think I kill him in 4 here. Yeah. So 2 to 4 should be easily killed. He's very easy to dodge as long as you're not being careless. So I like fighting that guy because he's just damn easy. Number 4 is a little harder, I guess, but it's also pretty damn easy. I think, yeah, I end up hitting 3. So you hit 2 and then you hit 3 to go into 4. By the time you get to 4, you should be halfway-ish to your super. I get rambunctious there and immediately just jump in the spikes because I think it's going to start. Obviously, I have ants in my pants because I'm on a good run. Roundabout is great here because if you shoot it on the ground, it should just go back and kill that thing for you. And then really it's just unloading into this thing. And bang bang with the super. Should be almost dead. I'm waiting for it because I'm like, I feel like I've done so much damage. I probably was waiting for it there too. I was like, fuck, I've done so much damage. I'm doing pretty well here. I have 3 HP and in theory, I only have to do 1 more fight. I believe there's only 1 of my 7 runs where I actually fucked up and had to do 4 fights, which is not ideal in terms of HP or speed. You want to hit 3 to go to safe, and then you want to hit 2. I don't have any recommendations for the dice. I've seen people do different things. I think everyone has their own trick for it. I just jump the number beforehand of what I want and then hit it. That's just how I work it out. This guy is easy as shit. Go ahead, just stand straight under him. You don't have to jump. Unload, move right before the shot, and then you can practically just stand under him because these things, they generally jump in a way that you won't have to worry about them. You see the second orange one comes from there and I move, but he's already dead. This guy's dead. He's a pushover. So that's LOL really done. Now we just have to hit 2 and 2 to be able to go. Now when you're on the safe spot on the final one, you can actually hit 3 as well, and you'll be fine as long as you don't hit a 1. That's how I ended up fighting 4 in one of my runs, because I hit start over because I was like, oh, I just don't have to think about it. And because I wasn't thinking about it, I fucked it up. Anyway, you do have to jump for him to hit with lobber. Go ahead and do the parries. Parry as much as you can for super. Don't be dumb like I did and use your super in the wrong direction there because you got overzealous. So after that, I was like, fuck, okay, I gotta focus on my parries, focus on your parries, focus on your parries. I like to parry multiple times too because you can get a lot of super back, which is nice. He actually doesn't take that much. If you hit him with that super, you'll take maybe 3 card phases to take him down. And as you can see here, I'm going to try to get him with a super, and I do. And then I think we just have 1 card phase here left. I could have risked it there and tried to get the kill, but I was like, no, we're not going to do that. Because as you can see, it took one bullet. I could have easily gotten him there. And if you're really skilled, while you're dodging those cards and parrying on them, you can actually hit him. But I'm not that ballsy. That's too much controlling and maneuvering for me. What is this, a speedrun? Am I supposed to be a professional? Same jokes. Feels good, man. All right, all we have left is our dance with the devil. Now, if you want to do an any percent speedrun, you can actually say yes to the devil here and it ends the run. I think it's very silly. There's always an any percent run in every game, so it makes sense. Obviously, you say no if you want to do all bosses, but in this game, it's legitimately the difference is don't fight the devil. And the devil fight's fun. I want to fight the devil. So you go under him, beat him up, duck under this attack. I used to jump and dodge with perfect timing to dodge that and then realized you could duck, and that saved me a lot of time. His scariest attacks are these ones. Make sure you get out of the way when he spins his trident and just get ready to dodge these things. Make sure you're keeping track of the guys in the back, whether you want to shoot them or jump over them, that's your choice. This attack, be ready and be wary, because if you're not safe and get all the way to the corner, you will take damage. By the time you get to about 4.5 cards, as you can see, he should be ready to go second phase. Just jump down. So what I'm going to look to do here is get my super and unload it, because this phase is probably, weirdly enough, the phase I like the least down here. He has a couple different phases. I just get to one of the sides, try to unload, and then use the super. That's really all I do here. And I don't use any of the super cards because I'm going to try to use the super again. I do kill these big purple fucks. I don't like them. They spit skulls at you, so it's just easier to not deal with them. And as those guys come down, you can generally shoot them or jump over them just by what you're doing. At this point, I wasn't too worried about that because I knew I was going into the third phase. And then it's just beat up this crying bitch. Take the damage if you need it, and then you take him out. And that is a run done with only 6 deaths. So as I said, of course, I could improve this time. Of course, I could go do grinding. And if you want to do that, I certainly encourage you to do so. There are better speedruns out on YouTube already that are like 15 minutes faster than mine. So this speedrun's not about being impressive. This is about fun. That's why I speedrun. I speedrun for fun. I make these tutorial speedruns for fun because I like chatting with you guys. And it's just a pleasure. It's a pleasure to be able to do this. So thank you if you watched this point in the video. If you plan on speedrunning Cuphead for yourself, I think it's a fantastic game. I think it's a perfect game for casual speedrunning like I like to do. So I wish you the best of luck in that. Thank you for watching this video. I will be back very soon. And by very soon, I mean even just in a matter of a couple of days with a surprise speedrun for those of you who like my... I was about to say alma mater on this channel. That doesn't make any sense. Sure, why not? My alma mater on this channel. There you go. We're ending it on that. Love you guys very much. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.